Hi there. I'm Tom Baber, and this is week 2 of Careers and Research Integrity in Addiction Science. This week, we're going to talk about scientific misconduct. The scientific profession entails significant ethical responsibilities. So, what you learn in a course like this is going to have enormous implications for your future career in addiction studies and addiction science. What we're going to talk about applies to people who are at the periphery of addiction science, people who are students engaged in research projects with a teacher or faculty member or mentor. It applies to research assistants, postdocs, people who are in training for doctoral research and choose a topic related to addiction studies. And it even applies, and probably even more, to seasoned investigators who may not have been educated in the developments in research integrity and scientific misconduct, which now have become more and more a part of scientific education in this field and in the entire field of science. So, to recapitulate a little bit, last week you read about the values of scientific integrity. Things like honesty in reporting your findings, accuracy in conducting your data analysis and the presentation of your findings, fairness in evaluating the results of others' research, and fairness in dealing with the attribution, let's say, of authorship credit. Collegiality, which implies transparency and sharing of information openly, because science, above all, is an open process. And things like the protection of human subjects. This week, we get into areas where these scientific integrity values are compromised and violated. So it's kind of the other side of the coin. And there are many ways in which this happens in scientific research in general and in the area of addiction science in particular. For example, in addiction science, there are particular sensitivities in dealing with people who are addicted. And if you're in charge of recruiting research participants for a study, monetary inducements might be used in a way that might make people more susceptible to relapse. Similarly, there has been a long history of giving dependence-producing drugs to people who may be vulnerable or people who may be addicted. So the analysis of scientific misconduct has taken into account in our field the particular situations that are unique to addiction studies. At an almost imperceptible level, ethical problems in research, as you will learn from this week's readings, they arise when clinical researchers use inducements to recruit patients. They arise when authors of the scientific literature are sloppy or biased in the way they interpret other findings. And they arise from statistical analyses, where there might be a little bit of data trimming or data fudging to choose a statistical test that might be more favorable to your hypothesis. At the next level, it gets worse when conflicts of interest bias an investigator's interpretation of data or the way that they design their studies. And this too can be unconscious. It need not be deliberate. And at its worst, scientific misconduct constitutes the deliberate falsification of data, the plagiarism of other people's words and ideas, and the violation of human rights. So this week we're going to take a tour of what we call Dante's Inferno. And Dante's Inferno is based on the medieval writer who wrote a very long poem where he took a tour of hell and evaluated the reasons why different people got sent there. And there were different levels of hell, ranging from minor infractions to very serious things. And so we're going to use that as a metaphor for looking at the types of misconduct and the different punishments that have been given to people who descend into the depths. So let's get started.